What happens when you mix Spider-Man, Venom, and one of Marvel's most chaotic villains with brutal beat-em-up gameplay and an unforgettable red cartridge? You get Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum Carnage. Today we're diving deep into the full history of this cult classic. From developer secrets and rare versions you might not know about, to how this game stood out among comic adaptations, there's a lot to uncover. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It really helps the channel grow. And drop a comment below. What are your memories of Maximum Carnage? And what retro game do you want us to cover next? Maximum Carnage was released in 1994 for both the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Based on the 14-part Marvel Comics crossover of the same name, it starred Spider-Man and Venom teaming up to stop Carnage and his villainous crew. Shriek, Doppelganger, Demogoblin, and Carrion. Developed by Software Creations, a UK-based studio, this game was part of a short-lived but memorable era of Marvel titles that tried to go beyond typical platforming. Software Creations had previously worked on Solstice, Plock, and Silver Surfer on the original Nintendo. Known for tough gameplay and bold visuals, this was the first video game to be directly based on a specific comic storyline, instead of just using the characters. It followed the comic story closely, using full-panel cutscenes pulled right from the comics, a rare detail in a time when most superhero games made up their own plot. Both the Super Nintendo and Genesis versions are nearly identical in gameplay, though the Genesis version had a slightly darker color palette and slightly different sound quality due to hardware differences. Interestingly, there was no arcade version of Maximum Carnage, though it would have made perfect sense as a side-scrolling brawler alongside Konami's X-Men and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade games. The lack of an arcade release is often seen as a missed opportunity, but the home console focus made it a standout for 90s kids. While it was released in Japan under the Super Famicom and Mega Drive branding, it was not rebranded or heavily altered for the Japanese market, an unusual move at the time. These versions are identical aside from box art and minor localization tweaks. One thing that truly set Maximum Carnage apart: the music. The game's soundtrack featured actual tracks by rock band Green Jelly. Yes, the band behind Three Little Pigs. Their music was adapted into 16-bit format for the game and gave it a gritty, energetic tone that matched Carnage's violent madness. Though the game was published by LJN, a company often criticized for poor quality licensed games, this title is widely regarded as one of their better efforts. Possibly because of Marvel's direct involvement and Software Creations' dedication to staying true to the comic's tone and brutality. Maximum Carnage was a pure beat-em-up. Players could swap between Spider-Man and Venom, each with different animations and combat styles. Venom was stronger and more aggressive, while Spidey was quicker and more agile. You could also call in Marvel heroes like Cloak and Dagger, Captain America, Iron Fist, Black Cat, and more for limited assists, something that felt ahead of its time. While the game was punishingly difficult, it had a cult following for its comic book presentation and relentless challenge. Many compared it to Final Fight in Streets of Rage. But its storytelling and licensed IP gave it a unique identity. Despite the difficulty and mixed critical reviews at launch, Maximum Carnage sold over 500,000 copies, which was impressive for a licensed title in the mid-90s. It became a bestseller on both the Super Nintendo and Genesis. It also marked the beginning of a brief series. A semi-sequel, Separation Anxiety, was released in 1995, also featuring Spidey and Venom vs. Symbiotes, but it didn't receive the same praise. Many fans felt it was too similar, with less polish.
New York City. Panic. Terror. Chaos. And that was before. Maximum Carnage.
Compared to Konami's X-Men arcade game or The Death and Return of Superman, also on Super Nintendo, Maximum Carnage stood out because of its direct comic adaptation and dark tone. It wasn't kid-friendly Spider-Man. It was gritty, brutal, and drenched in blood-red visuals. In modern terms, it paved the way for darker superhero games, like Batman, Arkham Asylum, and even Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4, which emphasized storytelling and atmosphere just like Maximum Carnage did, only with way more polish and technology. Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum Carnage wasn't just a game, it was a bold experiment that fused comic book storytelling with brutal gameplay. And despite its flaws, it left a mark on superhero gaming. What were your memories of Maximum Carnage? Was it too hard, or did you master it? Drop a comment below. We want to hear your stories. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a retro deep dive. And check out one of the videos on screen now for more classic game history. Thanks for watching.